Greetings, weary wanderer, and welcome back to Lonely TTRPG, the solo actual play and review podcast. I am your host, Steel Stash, and this week we are playing Dwarf Mine by James Hron. Now, before we get started, this is episode 25. Woohoo! We have been doing this for 6 months now. And I just want to say a huge thank you to all my listeners, watchers, subscribers, and everyone who has been keeping me motivated and keeping this moving so far. And if you're not one of those people, then by all means, drop a like, drop a subscribe. All right, don't be shy. It's okay. Every week we play a new game, and this week is no different. So, like I said, this week we are playing Dwarf Mine, a mapping game of adventure. So Dwarf Mine is a game about drawing and designing a mine, uncovering treasure, and surviving the dangers of the mountain. In Dwarf Mine, you will draw your own mine on graph paper, roll dice to determine what gold, gems, or other treasure you've discovered, and hopefully defeat monsters in combat, keeping your mine alive and thriving. By the end of the game, you will have created a rich and unique history for your mine. No two games are the same. So for this, you're going to need some graph paper or the mountainscape, preferably the mountainscape. You will need a dwarf mine sheet, pencil and eraser, and a set of standard TTRPG dice. The story of your mine. A game of Dwarf Mine is played on graph paper over a series of turns by drawing and rolling dice. But Dwarf Mine is much more than tracking gold, population, and prestige. Dwarf Mine tells a story. The placement and unique names of your rooms are a part of that story. Where your ladders and hallways lead into the mountain are part of that story. The fate of your mind, whether it falls or not, is part of that story. When you play, be sure to keep track of the history of your mine on your Dwarf Mine sheet. If you really want to explore some role-playing, write journal entries as if you are the leader of the Dwarf Mine yourself. Remember, every great mine has a story, and every great story has a beginning and an end. So get ready for the story of your mine to be told. All right, so it starts off with some helpful phrases. As this is episode 25, I am assuming that most of you are familiar with polyhedral dice. However, this does use the term dice chain, which refers to the different dice in order from smallest to largest. So D4 to D6 to D8. Basically, as you're playing this game, your dice are going to start out at a D4, and you can level them up or move up the dice chain. Other important terms, all right, mine age. Your age starts at 1 and it increases by 1 each turn, which is different than your mine level, which will be based on how far you have dug in relation to your mountainscape. For gameplay is going to consist of 3 activities per round. First, you have your turn, where you add 1 to your mine age. And you take one of 2 actions: building rooms or using rooms. For building rooms, throughout the Dwarf Mine, you will be building hallways, ladders, and rooms and adding them to your mine. Some of these rooms do have mechanical benefit to your mine. Now, don't worry, there is a rooms table in the back of the book, which describes A, how big the room is supposed to be, and B, what the benefit to those rooms are. We will explain as we go. Now, for using rooms, each room gives your mine a benefit. Some rooms give your mine 1 benefit at a time. Other rooms give your mine a benefit each turn. Rooms can be used to claim benefits during your term. The order in which these rooms are used is up to you. So the second part of a round is treasure and combat rolls. For your treasure rolls, you must have added at least 1 square to your mine in the form of a hallway, ladder, or room during your turn in order to find some treasure. Then, to make a treasure roll, you're going to roll 1d8, add your mine age to the roll, and then look for the corresponding number on the treasure table. Combat rolls are very similar. You're going to roll 1d8, add your mine age to determine the result, and then go to the combat page to find out what combat you have found yourself in. Now, there are some persistent events, and this will be the last phase of a round. All right. And the results of most combat rolls are done once combat is complete. However, some special, usually dangerous combat rolls are persistent. That means they last until they are defeated, killed, or otherwise leave. If an enemy in combat is described as persistent, the enemy continues to impact your mind during this phase of the game. Rules for persistent enemies are listed in the combat table for which they are rolled. You may attack persistent enemies as many times as you wish during the persistent phase. The health of persistent enemies does not regenerate in between turns unless otherwise stated. If you kill a persistent enemy, you gain prestige equal to its original health. If you kill a persistent enemy or a persistent enemy leaves for any reason, your mind level automatically increases by 1. Combat, all right? Mining is dangerous. And sometimes all you can do is fight for what you got. But a key thing to note is that you and the enemy attack simultaneously. So even though you're going to be describing them in order, all attacks are simultaneous. So for attacking the enemy, when combat occurs, your mind will attack the enemy by rolling your mind's attack die. All mines start at the bottom of the dice chain with a D4. Building barracks can improve your attack die. And certain resources like ore used in an ore forge can add a modifier to the result of your attack die. The result of the attack die plus any modifiers is the amount of damage that will be dealt to the enemy's health. Being attacked, your enemy is also attacking your mind in combat. Your enemy will deal damage to your mind by rolling its own attack die. The combat table will explain what attack die the enemy will roll for their attack and any special abilities the enemy has while attacking. The results of your enemy attack die plus any special abilities is the amount of damage your mind will receive. Your mind will lose population equal to that damage. Combat ends when either your enemy's health is at or below 0, your mind's population is at or below 0, or you are in combat against a persistent enemy. Persistent enemies only attack once in regular combat. Be sure to read the rules for how the enemy attacks during the persistent phase. Remember, you may also attack persistent enemies during the persistent phase. Ending the game. So a game of Dwarf Mine ends when your population falls to 0. When this happens, the final chapter of your mine story has been written. Prestige and age. After a game of Dwarf Mine has ended, add up your total prestige and mine age. This can be treated as a final score of sorts and serve as a benchmark of success. You can measure the score against future mines or with the mines of your dwarf friends. So for any of you guys who decide to pick up this game, make sure you drop me a comment and let me know what your mine score was, and we will see how you do compared to me. Now, the rest of the book starts going into some of the different things that you got. All right, so this is your room table. All right, showing the various rooms that you can build and how much they cost and what size they are, as well as any benefits they might give you. You have your treasure tables, which will be based on your mine level, as well as various expansion rules in order to help add complexity or make the game more challenging. Now, we are not going to be doing any of the expansions. We are just going to be playing the base game. But you do have things like Mountain Creation, which allows you to have random rooms already set up that you would have to find. More Than a Dragon, giving you more deadly enemies besides the final boss dragon. Bloodlines for creating unique dwarf leaders, as well as benefits for them. And more rooms. Moving on to the back of the book, we have Appendix 1, which is all the rooms in one page, conveniently set up for you. You also have a room name generator and an achievement list. Now, the achievement list, just some fun things that you can do as you play multiple sessions of this. Go ahead and print this out, stick it in your notebook with the rest of your Dwarf Mine stuff, and check it off as you play. Now, moving on over to our game sheet. Before we get in, you have your mountainscape, which has a lovely picture of the mountain, and your mine is divided up into 4 different levels. Each level is represented by horizontal and vertical blocks, and the levels kind of vary in how deep they actually go. So level 1 is the shallowest, level 4 is the deepest. For your player sheet, you got a spot for your mine name, your dwarf leader, gold, starting population, all of that. Now, for starting population and gold, you start with 20 and 20 of each. And again, you start on a D4 for everything, and a mine level of 1, mine age of 1. So we're going to go ahead and dive on into our gameplay. Our mine is going to be called Kazadstash, with the dwarf leader of Steel Stash being in charge. So Steel Stash leading a group of 19 other dwarfs. So we're going to go ahead and get started and build our first room. Now, the rules don't specify how many things you can build on a turn. We're going to go ahead and say you can build 1 room a turn. Hallways and ladders are free. Rooms do cost gold. So we will say that you can build 1 room a turn if you have the gold to do it. You can build the hallways and ladders in order to connect it. However, one thing to note, the rules do say that you have to have at least a square between each hallway, ladder, or room. All right, so you cannot have rooms butting up right next to each other. There has to be a square in between them. But that means that some of our rooms are going to be very important, as we only have 20 gold to start out with, and we have to hope that we will be able to get more. And minor clarification, I kind of forgot, you are finding treasure every round. So the gold isn't necessarily the issue. The issue is going to be our population and our strength. So I think up front, the first thing that I need to build is going to be a hovel, which is a 3x3 room. It is going to cost me 4 gold, but that allows me to gain 1 population each turn for every hovel that I have. So we are going to go ahead and build our first hovel towards the top of our mine, and we will go ahead and give that hovel a name based on the appendix. Okay, so that's going to be 1d20 for the prefix and 1d6 for the hovel name. So 1d20 plus 1d6 for an 18 and a 2. So 18, the prefix is going to be a number 1 through 8, for example, third, or in this case, first. And for 2, it's going to be city. So this is going to be first city. And we will go ahead and add the establishment of first city to our mining history. In addition to that, we just want to make sure that we have a ladder and hallway going up and out. There we go. So we have our ladder and hallway established and our first hovel established. All right, so that is going to be it for our build phase. Moving on to our treasure and combat. I'm just going to go ahead and roll 2d8, save myself a little bit of time because the tables are right next to each other. So for treasure, I get a 1, and for combat, I get a 6. So treasure plus mine age. So treasure is going to be 2, mine is going to be 6. So for a level 1 mine, rolling a 2, you have mined 2 gold and 1 ore. So we're going to go ahead and add 1 ore to our ore tab. Our gold tab, we were at 20, we went down to 16 for building the hovel. We're up to, so we have 18 gold. And then again, combat is 7. So 7, a goblin tunneling party. Outstanding. Right off the bat, we get to do some combat. We have a goblin tunneling party. They have 4 health and a 1d4 attack. So I'm going to roll 2d4 per turn or per combat round to see what happens. So as we were excavating First City, we seem to have found a little hole, and from that hole there was a chittering, and from that chittering there was goblins. Our mighty dwarves took arms and rushed towards the goblins, dealing 4 damage. The goblins struck back savagely, dealing 4 damage as well. While the goblin raiding party was destroyed, unfortunately, our population was also hindered, and we have dropped down to 16 total population. And as we have no persistent threat, that will be the end of that turn. Or correction, that round. So that brings us up to Mine Age 2. Because of our hovel, our population goes from 16 to 17. And now we enter our build phase. Having been concerned by the fact that we've already run into goblins, I think barracks is the next order of business. I think establishing a barracks is going to be our next order of business. So that is going to cost us 3 gold. Our gold goes from 18 to 15, but our attack die will now move up to a d6. And we need to give our barracks a name. So once again, that's going to be a d20 and a d6. 13 and 5. So 13 is Gurn. 5 is Shield. So Gurn Shield Barracks. And that will be it for our build phase. Moving on to our treasure phase. We got 3 plus 2, which is 5. 5 is you have mined 1d6 gold. Outstanding. So we get to roll 1d6 for our gold. And of course we roll a 1. But our gold goes from 15 to 16. We have made some improvement. It's all right. It's okay. For combat, we rolled a 4 plus 2 is 6. And it would seem that there was a dire wolf hiding in the tunnel that we built our barracks. So the dire wolf has a health of 4 and an attack of 1d6. So we are going to roll 2d6. 1d6 for our attack, 1d6 for the wolf's attack. All right. So we attacked with 3, they attacked with 5. Moving on to the next one, because we have to resolve this. They still have 1 health. We rolled a 6. Couldn't have rolled that on the first one. And they rolled a 2. Couldn't have rolled that on a first one. So the dire wolf is dead, but they have also killed 17 of our dwarves, which is a sad day indeed. Our population has gone from 17 to 10. We still have no persistent attack. That brings us up to a mine age of 3. I think for this, we're going to have to try and build another hovel. All right, we have built our second hovel. So let us see what that does for us as far as names go. So this will be Low City. So we have First City and Low City. No standard naming conventions among these dwarves. Everything shall be different. Sorry, I forgot to add my 1 population for the start of the turn. So my population was 10, now 11 thanks to First City. And that will take us to our treasure and combat phase. So let's hope for high treasure, low combat. So I rolled 3s for both, which means I got 6s because of my mine age of 3. So treasure 6 for mine level 1. 1d6 gold and 1 ore. That is nice. My ore is now up to 2 and 1d6 4. Outstanding. So I was at 6, or I started the round at 16. I spent 4 to build my hovel. I gained 4, so I am still at 16 gold. At least I broke even on this round. Better than I've been doing the past 2. But for a 6 on the combat, we have found another dire wolf. So once again, that is a health of 4 and a attack of 1d6. I also have an attack of 1d6. Let's roll these dice and see what happens. In the first phase of combat, my dwarves strike out and do 2 damage, while the direwolf snarls and snaps back, killing 5 dwarves. And again, in the second phase of combat, my remaining dwarves rally, dealing 6 damage, while losing another 5 dwarves. So I have lost 10 dwarves total. I go from 11 to 1. Steel Stash is the last one standing. It seems that the wolves have taken the gates. We've barred the doors, but will there be any help? We don't know. Unfortunately, yeah, I'm down to Steel Stash. Thank goodness I have 2 hovels, so I'm going to be getting 2 dwarves back right now, actually, because that is the end of round 3, and we move on to round 4. So my population will go from 1 to 3. These dwarves should not ask what happened to everybody else. Don't worry about what happened to everybody else. Worry about what we are going to do to build our city up. Now I'm torn because I feel like I should be trying to increase my attack some more, because I keep getting attacked by wolves. But these wolves are doing so much damage that it almost doesn't matter about my low rolls. I don't know if increasing that is going to help any. I know I need more dwarves, and I can build 3 more hovels. Total, you can only have a total of 5. We're gonna go ahead. We are going to go ahead and we're going to build another hovel on the hope and prayer that we survive this next round. So let's go ahead and see what this hovel's name shall be. This will be a number and city. Everything is being named city. So this is going to be second city. So we have first city, low city, and second city. Weird order for naming this. It seems that maybe the dwarves are trying to get away from low city, the naming convention of low city, as that brought nothing but the near extinction of the mine. First city hurt, but it was only some goblins. So now we move on to treasure and combat, hoping for, okay, well, we rolled 2s again, double 2s. So I seem to be rolling doubles for my treasure and combat roll. My mine age is 4, so those numbers are going to be 6 again, a 6. I already know what combat is because I've rolled it 3 times in a row now. It seems that we have tried to settle on a dire wolf nest, a dire wolf den. There is nothing but dire wolves, only dire wolves in the mountains. But we'll add our 1 ore and our 1d6 gold up front. So we have 3 ore. Our gold was at 12 because we had to spend 4 for the hovel. We were rolling 1d6 and got a 3. So gold is up to 15. And now it is time to do combat. And it is not looking good for the home team. It's looking slightly better for the home team. We rolled a 3. The wolf rolled a 1. So it is 1 and 2. That is where simultaneous attacks is annoying. We're both probably going to roll high right here. I don't even want to look. We both rolled 6s. I rolled a 6 and they rolled a 6. So even though there should have been one other dwarf standing with me at this time, we're going to go ahead and say that that first attack knocked everybody out except for Steel Stash once again. And Dwarven leader Steel Stash glares into the eyes of this direwolf, and both let out a guttural growl. as they leap forward towards each other. And as the wolf tears out my throat, I stab its heart. And we both die together. Thus passes Steel Stash and ends the exploration of a Khazad Stash. But that is Dwarf Mine, a mining map making game. So that was super fun. I really liked that. My total score was crap. So I have a feeling that anybody who plays is going to beat my score. But again, send me a comment. Let me know what your score was. And we can see. I'm not even going to keep track of my score. If you played, you won. Congratulations. But tell me anyway, because I am curious. I'm curious how you guys succeeded. Maybe it was you didn't roll 6 after 6 after 6 after 6. But hey, these things happen. That's what happens when you use dice. This game was fun. I liked it. I wish that I could get to a point where I could see what the rest of it was like. Now, part of that was on me. I probably could have used some of the extra rooms and whatnot to generate gold and everything like that from the expansion set, I mean. But, you know, I just wanted to experience what the base game was. So definitely a fun game. Definitely rolls more in line with some of the old school dungeon crawl. Like, it's got kind of that old school dungeon crawl feel to it, because you are using, it's not procedural generation, because you aren't rolling for like what rooms you're going into. Those are conscious decisions that you are making. I want to say that I think you can build as many rooms as you have gold for. Build as many rooms as you have gold for. I think that was my biggest downfall. The fact that I had gold and I wasn't building rooms. I limited myself to 1 room a turn, and that was a detriment. That is not stated in the rules. Again, that is something I just made up for my playthrough. Build as many rooms as you have gold, because you could build 4 hovels and a barracks. Your attack would go up to D6, and you would be generating 4 dwarves a turn right off the bat, like right off year 1. And that is a much stronger start than what I did. If I had done that, the dire wolves still would have hurt, but they probably wouldn't have hurt as much. Now, of course, that also makes things more interesting. That probably would make things more interesting, because the only way to get treasure is to build something on your turn. Now, hallways and ladders do count, but if you do not have the gold to build a room, that means you need to build a random hallway or ladder. And because you have those limitations on where rooms can fit and how close things can be to each other, that actually starts to force you to go deeper into the mine. And so, yeah, that's the way to do it. Build as much as you have gold for, and then on turns that you don't have gold, build a hallway or a ladder for free, just so you can try to build up some more gold. Which I think is where the room expansion would potentially hurt this game, because one of the things you can build in the room expansion is a mine shaft. Now, granted, mine shaft does cost 20 gold, but it gives you gold every turn regardless of whether or not you do anything. So, like, I thought about it. I legit thought about it. I thought about just building that and just generating gold every turn. I'm glad I didn't, because that would have made this playthrough even more painful than it was. So I would recommend adding the mine shaft right off the bat, because you're adding your mine age to your combat rolls, which means every turn you are not doing something to help your defenses. You are ticking closer and closer and closer towards a more dangerous, persistent threat. And you definitely don't want to be caught off guard trying to build up enough gold to like max out your barracks or something. Just right up front, either build as many barracks as you can and some hovels, or build as many hovels as you can and some barracks, and then try to use the gold you find during the treasure phase to build your barracks to max level, and then you can worry about the other stuff. At least that's my recommendation. Now, that is one thing I do like though, because you are adding your mine age to your treasure and your combat rolls, especially your combat rolls. You can't just hide behind what you got, because again, you are always ticking closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to those persistent threats. And as you dig deeper and deeper down and get to further and further levels, you're going to run into harder and harder threats. So you definitely want to make sure that you are taking advantage of any opportunity you can to add a room, just so that you can deal with those persistent threats when they come up. But like I said, brilliant little game. Definitely had a lot of fun on this. You can find Dwarf Mine on itch and drive-through. They are on both. I'm going to drop both links down below, but the game is $7. Totally worth it. Definitely go check it out. Tell James I said hi and that I sent you. And remember, mustache y'all to stay awesome. You've been listening to Lonely TTRPG, the solo TTRPG live play and review. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review. You can also reach us at Twitter at BDDC_pod or at blackdragondungeoncompany@gmail.com. If you really like us, you can consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/blackdragondungeoncompany. Thank you so much.